Hello, Sprouta here, and I took a break from everything. Dandy's World, YouTube, but now I'm kind of back? Anyways, Blot is here with a new update, and when I saw he was a survivalist, I thought it would be a great video idea to talk about the survivalist class history on Dandy's World, and why it used to be garbage, then became an okay class, and then again became garbage because they made most of the community don't have brain cells. Trust me, this is something I especially wanted to talk about myself since, in my point of view, distractors that in reality are survivalists kind of ruined modern Dandy's World. Let's take a look. So, imagine, it's June 12th, 2024, and a new game has released on Roblox with the name Dandy's World. It's just been almost 1 year. Isn't it crazy? In this game, your objective as a toon is to reach the highest floor you can with a team, and you can quickly differentiate 3 groups of toons. In one hand, you have the extractors, toons with powerful machine completion speed that made floors feel like it was a speed run, getting to the higher floors, which at that time being in floor 15 was already impressive, in a matter of minutes. In the other hand, you have the supports, toons that their main objective is to help their teammates survive longer, and, combined with extractors, they could become an unstoppable force if used right. And then you have survivalists, toons that specialized on, well, surviving longer themselves. And added up, there were like 3 overpowered toons that everyone wanted to have so bad. They were called mains, and each one followed a role. V was an extractor, Astro a support, and Pebble's a survivor. Not distractor. Keep this in mind. So, between these 3 mains, there was one that standed out for being the worst by far among the 3. By today's standards, you would think that Astro, since, well, V was the only competent extractor back then and Pebbles could distract, right? He couldn't? No one knew what distracting was, so Astro was useful. And there's only one left, our little pet rock Pebble. People would say that he was the worst, no one wanted him. He was just a survivalist that did anything for the team more than just survive. People were not going to let this happen, so they started to search solutions in order to save Pebble and other survivors too. Soon they noticed Pebble's massive speed and saw that Pebble outwalked almost all Twisteds in the game except, well, Twisted Pebble itself. So what did they do? They started testing and boom, distractors were born. On game release, only 2 toons were able to distract, Pebble and Goob, and both had decent speed and low stealth, even if Goob was just a support. Bad thing? Almost all survivalists except Razzle and Dazzle, that I don't even know where to count them, were just too slow for this requirement. And you know what this meant? And they have been in this state for a really, really long time and never recovered back. Distractors really made dirty these toons. So all of that happened over the span of more or less 3 days. People started using Pebble and Goob just to distract. The funny part is that Quelver didn't expected that, and now it's just another class and if like nothing ever happened. So now that we know the origins of the survivor class, we can talk about what happened next over the months. The distractor discovery made a great impact in how we would play the Dandy's World game over the next months. Serious runs would pick up mostly a Pebble for distracting, so Twisteds didn't bother the extractors in their job and everyone could reach higher floors. But there was a little problem at start. Pebble sucked at distracting. So, Quelver decided to give him a quote-unquote buff and improving his distracting skill, being an official distractor now instead of a survivalist, since they took some of his survivability for this rework via changing his abilities. They tweaked his active, now becoming his new passive, and the old passive was just removed from the game in an instant. But no one really cared since it was annoying for distractors, and made his active lower his stealth and attract Twisteds towards him, literally the opposite you want as a survivalist. Since they made a rework to Pebble so he could distract and no longer be just an useless survivalist, you would think that Scraps, Poppy, and Toodles would get something too, right? No, they just kept getting dust, and dust, and dust. But there were added 2 more survivalists on the 1.1. The Pebble rework was during the 1.2, these 2 being Flutter and Tegan. They were and are mid-toons. Flutter could adapt and became a distractor due to her active ability, and Tegan was not fast, but her active made her really good for solo runs or LMS. When everyone else is dead, look what I did there, Forsaken reference. Flutter quickly became obsolete since she was not good enough. I honestly don't understand why people don't like Flutter that much as a distractor, but she's like top 5 forgotten characters. And Tegan, well, she mostly remained the same. Sprout update was probably the worst for her since, well, Sprouts are hungry for tapes, but overall remained the same. Then, we surprisingly didn't had any new survivalists in a while. In Sprout's update, no toon was a survivalist. Gigi is an extractor due to her stats, so she doesn't count. Connie is just Connie, like she cannot be a survivalist due to her speed, and then there's Louis. Louis was an all-rounder like Tisha, but he has a lot of survivability, so we can slide him here. Louis became one of the, if not the most popular distractor. He had it all. I even have a video explaining why he was and still is the best distractor. But Louis was indeed a great extractor too, so if you played as him as a survivalist and not as a distractor, it would be okay, right? Wrong. People are just like that. The distractors went to a point where, if you even bothered playing them as their role, survivalists, people would get mad at you and even grief you, thing that I find funny since you are better at surviving than them. And this is a problem since, let's take V for example. V should be a toon that you should have if you are good at the game. But in reality, everyone can have her since you didn't have to do anything difficult if you played with a distractor all your way. And this made, in the long run, a toxic and bad thing for the game that eventually made almost every player on the game rely on a dog that spins on circles. Yeah. So, distractors were a good thing in order to give some utility to the survivalist, but things had gotten too far. People that have end-game toons that can't even survive 3 floors because there's not anyone that deletes the main mechanic of the game, escaping Twisteds, is crazy. But anyways, we should move from Louis and talk about more modern days. So, well, I'm just going to mention survivalist event toons until we get to Blot, the toon that I most want to talk about. For Christmas, they made 3 survivalists. None of Cole and Babette are used today. Well, Cole is just a worse pebble, so nobody plays as her. And Babette is just, Babette. Indeed, she is now the real survivalist main. But she is just so bad at surviving compared to OG Pebble. There's not even a point of comparison. And if you are telling me that you think that both are supports, please, their impact is none. Also, there's Rudy, who's fine. I guess, better than these two. But he's just a Poppy, but with better ability. So don't expect him higher than Poppy's trash tier on tier lists. We are going to skip Easter and Yada's update since there were not any new toons that were survivalist under my criteria, and then we find Mr. Blot. Blot is the brand new survivalist toon, and guess what? People were already saying things like, he's the best distractor, and well, he's a speedy survivalist, so there you go if you want, but I've noticed that Blot might be the best survivalist by far now without distracting. Excluding OG Pebble, of course. So, he has cool stats to run away, thing that not most survivalists can afford. Even if he sacrifices a lot, and when I mean a lot is a lot of extraction for this. His clone is what makes him sparkle, and why in my opinion he's not the best distractor. The clone can tank a hit, has a fair cooldown, and costs 10 tapes. Only 10, it's just free for me, but okay, Dandy's World. The amount of things you can do with it is crazy. You can parry Twisteds if you use it correctly, making Twisteds like Twisted Pebble straight up ignore you, and if you will, you can try and help other people with it. When it comes to survive, Blot might not have the best extraction or speed, but his active makes him escape easily. But the clone takes practice to master. You need to know where to place it, stuff that just played 1 hour as him cannot provide. Try to find it out as yourself. So well, that's the video. But wait, don't leave. One of the reasons why I've been inactive is because I'm making a game. I already have the game core, gameplay, and lore idea developed, and now I just need people to hire and start. Tell me in comments if you would like to get a long video talking about my game. Okay, without anything else to say, bye!
Goo goo gaga, I'm a baby. Wah, wah, I want milky milk. I'm 3 years old.